Joe, let's roll out. This is the second installment of Modular Media's Saturday morning panels, a G.I. Joe and Transformers podcast. I am one of your hosts, the Vacuuminator, and I am joined, as always, by my brother-in-arms, Snowcone 83.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm good. It's been more than a month actually, because we recorded the first two episodes early, and now we're in episode 2 for we're recording in June of 2023, but because of, I guess, an oopsie on my part. The issue we're going to be discussing this month is from August of 1982, because I thought it was the comic started as a monthly series. Apparently, it's bi-monthly, so the next issue is going to be from September of that year. So we might catch up and start talking about the Transformers comic sooner than I thought.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. But we're going to keep this show going monthly for as long as possible, and we need your support in order to do that, so please don't forget to engage with the YouTube algorithm while you're listening to this. Give us a like, comment down below with some of your thoughts on stuff from the world of Transformers and G.I. Joe in the last month, or the issue we're discussing. Subscribe, ring that bell in order to enable notifications to get every episode of this podcast, as well as every other show we do here on Modular Media as they come out. You can also follow us on social media. We are currently on Twitter and Tumblr at the Modular Media on Twitter, and just at Modular Media on Tumblr. And we also have a TikTok where we post clips of our shows and stuff, which I believe is just at Modular Media. But that is all the plugging I have to do for this installment. So let's go ahead and get into some news. First thing I want to discuss this month, we've had quite a few developments on the impending Energon Universe from Skybound and Image Comics. Since we recorded our first proper episode, where we just kind of said, like, we knew the earliest basic leakings of it, and a lot of that information was just, like, completely outdated by the time the episode actually came out. So I figured I'd kind of just summarize things, and then we can kind of go into like little bits of thoughts about it if we're at all interested or planning to pick some of this stuff up. So basically what happened was Robert Kirkman, creator of Invincible and The Walking Dead, put out a new independent series via his studio at Image Comics, Skybound, called Void Rivals, which is essentially Saga by way of Enemy Mind. And it had a scene just before the end of it where Skyfire or Jetfire, depending on your preference, from the Transformers appears and basically sets up this is part of a new interconnected universe that is going to be both Transformers and G.I. Joe. And they tried very hard to keep that cameo under wraps leading right up until the issue came out, but I believe it leaked like 2 or 3 days before the issue actually came out, along with a poster for the Energon Universe that featured Jetfire. And then a few days after that, we got the official announcement that, yeah, it's going to be a shared universe between Transformers and G.I. Joe, more heavily focused on Transformers, but there will be G.I. Joe comics as well. Transformers is going to be a monthly ongoing series. The first 6 issues written and drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson, who did Beta Ray Bill, Wonder Woman Dead Earth, and Do a Power Bomb, some of the most like beloved underdog comics of the last few years. Like, not necessarily super popular, didn't sell really well, but the people who loved them loved them. Do a Power Bomb is my favorite comic of last year, actually. And then Joshua Williamson is going to be doing two miniseries focusing on first Duke and then Cobra Commander. I might have gotten that mixed up, actually. I'll have to double check before this comes out. And those are each going to have different artists on them because Joshua Williamson is just a writer. And he's kind of been DC's it guy for the last few years. He started off doing the Flash ongoing during DC Rebirth. He briefly had a stint on Batman. He was writing Justice League for a while. He did their last big event, Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, and he's doing their current event, Night Terrors. And personally, I don't care for a lot of his bigger stuff, but he has recently done a few smaller things I've been a fan of. I've been enjoying his run on the Superman ongoing. He did a Black Label book on the Flash's rogues, like a sort of old man Captain Cold kind of story, and those were both really good. And overall, I am fairly interested in these books. Of course, a lot of people were worried very much of like, oh, are they just paving over and doing something completely new? Or are we leaving Larry in the dust? No, Larry Hama is going to be returning for G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, number 301, in just a couple of months now. And he said he's actually written a couple of issues ahead, so hopefully he doesn't ever fall behind again, because apparently, like I said, we're still fairly new to the comics, so I didn't notice, but apparently Larry has a knack for falling behind, and he almost didn't make the deadline for 300 at the end of IDW's run. But he's on issue 305, I believe, he said recently, and they're making good progress trying to get ahead, and his comic is going to be allowed to basically be its own little island, whereas the Energon Universe is going to have a lot of different ongoings and minis and one-shots weaving in and out of it. Personally, I'm very excited about the Energon Universe because I love Daniel Warren Johnson, and I've gained an affinity for Joshua Williamson in the last year. I think it has the potential to be really, really good, but I wanna kind of just take it as it comes to me. As for Real American Hero continuing on with 301, hey, that's great. There's a very dedicated fan base for that book, which I feel like I'm slowly joining through this show. But I'm kind of on the fence on whether or not I'll try and jump on with 301. It depends on how good of a actual jumping on point that issue is, because I heard 300 actually ends on a huge cliffhanger. So we'll see how friendly that issue is to new readers. But I've been babbling on like a brook for about 5 minutes now. Snowcone, what's your take on all this?
I think I'm definitely excited as well for I don't know, whenever the last like comic, the one with like the little rebel guy or pebble guy, whenever that started up, I got really excited about that, and to see that it's going to be a shared universe, I always liked that. I always thought that like G.I. Joe and Transformers just worked together anyways. So I think it's going to be really cool. Yeah, I kind of hope that we see some of the designs from like some of the artwork on the boxes, like Bazooka.
That would be really smart if like they like I like the legacy artwork, but if they started incorporating like Daniel Warren Johnson artwork from the comics onto the legacy packaging, ooh, that could be cool.
They so will though.
Yeah. I should also mention Skybound's Twitter did like over 2 weeks a sort of slow reveal thing of like this is the Autobot and Decepticon cast for Johnson's comic, which is an interesting though not entirely like out of left field team up. Like the Autobots are Optimus Prime, RC, Wheeljack, I want to say Ratchets, and Cliff Jumper, and the Decepticons are Soundwave, Laserbeak, Ravage, Starscream, and Thundercracker. So I feel like they're doing the Megatron is a secret end of arc reveal kind of boss guy thing.
Either way, I mean, I'm down to see where it goes.
Yeah, I do applaud the decision to go with Cliffjumper over Bumblebee because, like, obviously, Bumblebee is the poster boy. He's oversaturated, and Cliffjumper, like, I don't dislike Bumblebee, but I've always thought Cliffjumper was just the more interesting, more fun character with how gung ho he is for his size. Um, have you seen any of the artwork for these comics? By the way, Snowcone, I should have asked before we started recording the episode.
No, I have not.
Okay,
Well,
I'll see.
I saw like the panel of Jetfire. Just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll why don't I just instead of
Okay, I don't need to look at the
yeah, I'm Googling
scrimp
real
anymore.
quick.
Scrimp.
Okay, so if it will oh, and I almost forgot Frenzy is in the Decepticon cast. So there are the Decepticons.
Make a ton of cack.
For some
Is
reason
that
it
the
is
actual art?
yeah, that's gonna be the interior art.
Ooh.
That's Daniel Warren Johnson's style. Oh, there it is. And here is the Transformers or the Autobot cast. And like
I love that.
to give you more an idea of his dynamicism, here's a image of Optimus from the interior of one of the books he shared. And just recently they revealed an SDCC exclusive cover.
Did you know
Yeah.
what?
What?
Almost. Just about, yeah. On both of these teams, there's like a shared color on each of the characters.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize that.
Different shades of red for the Autobots, and then the different shades of blue or purple.
Hmm. Here's his issue number 1 collector cover. And Warren Johnson, he does, or D-Dubs, he likes to be called, is his nickname. He does a weekly YouTube live stream of just like drawing stuffing and talking to the chat. And as soon as he got announced, the very next episode was like, "Hey, let's draw Optimus Prime, and I'll talk about Transformers with you guys." He's very much a G1 guy. Like he got into it during the later G1 years, but had a lot of residual stuff. And he said like the '86 movie is his style guide for this book, basically. But he also has like a lot of very modern masterpiece and masterpiece alike third party toys that he's using for reference. So like
Oh,
I think this is going to be very much like a back to basics, but I also think it's going to be like G1 in a more dynamic, action-packed, emotional way than you've ever seen it before, because that's how his books tend to be. And like I said, Do a Powerbomb, one of my favorite books of last year. Warren Johnson is a huge wrestling fan, so I don't doubt we'll see like some crazy wrestling homage stuff in this book, as well as like, you know, we might finally get to see, it won't be that missing shot from the movie, but we might finally get to see Optimus Prime powerbomb Dirge. But
I don't know how I feel about the third party for reference thing. Looking at the second picture you posted, he does have that backpack that you see on the masterpiece figure.
yeah.
So that's interesting, I guess.
I think like as long as Hasbro's not mad at him and he's not using like ones that are crazy out of style alignment with what we know of the characters, I don't mind it too terribly much. I do think it is just a little bit goofy though. Like I just love how it opens him up to the criticism of people in the chat were immediately like, is Hasbro okay with you doing third party figures for reference? And he's like, they haven't said anything about it, so I don't think they care as long as they look like the character. But yeah, I'm definitely way more excited for Transformers than I am G.I. Joe, but I'm gonna be giving both of them a shot. And if you want to hear like my immediate thoughts on them once they come out, you should tune into Modular Media's No Prize podcast every Sunday night with me and Boingo Ryder talking about more general comic news and new comic thoughts and the MCU and all that fun kind of stuff. But let's get into a little bit of toy news, because over the last few weeks, Hasbro has been announcing a crap ton of stuff for San Diego Comic-Con and Walmart Collector Con, which are happening on the same weekend, a lot of exclusives for GI Joe have been announced and or teased. So far, nothing for Transformers yet. However, I would not be surprised if by the time this podcast actually comes out, we know what the Transformers SDCC exclusive is going to be. But in terms of GI Joe Classified for SDCC, we're getting Chuckles with a ton of spy gear, and for Walmart Collector Con, we're getting a Night Force shooter and a new character for Cobra called Mole Rats, and a Crimson version of the Alley Viper. And I want all of these. I think all of these figures look fantastic. Like, I have no affinity for Shooter or the Mole Rats, but I think they look like good enough toys that I'm willing to give them a shot. I like the narrative of the Walmart stuff right now of Cobra experimenting with Dark Energon and it coming back to bite them. And Chuckles is a character that, like, I didn't care about until, like, we got kind of knee deep in the Classified and people started talking about wanting him, and I looked into him and I'm like, oh, this guy's really cool. I definitely want that figure. And now that we've seen what the figure looks like and the accessories it comes with, I'm low key like, yeah, I think I need that figure. How about you though, Snowcone? How you feeling about all this?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, absolutely got to have it. Like, holy shit. Like, I think they confirmed that he's getting like a regular mainline release, but no matter what, like that's again one of the boxes I'll save because I have Mindbenders and Serpentor and the original Cobra Commander one. God, that box is beautiful. Man, they just, like, I don't know. The Classified just hits it out of the park in like almost every aspect of their presentation, especially for exclusives, it feels like.
Yeah, because the thing about, like, Chuckles is you take away his secondary, that's just a good background guy right there, but also he is a really cool character if you know about him from the 87 movie or the comics. And then there's all the accessories he comes with. He's got like a lei, he's got headphones and a little Soundwave tape deck that's in Sound Blaster colors. And he's got a briefcase, a file folder, and handcuffs, both open and closed. So, like, there's a ton of stuff you can do with this guy, and just, like, getting him is going to add to my repertoire as a figure photography hobbyist so much. And also, like, the fact that they're giving you the tape deck in Sound Blaster colors for this release does make me think, yeah, mainline Chuckles. I imagine he'll come with a few less accessories. I'm thinking he'll come with his gun, the headphones, maybe one of the handcuffs, and the tape deck in Sound Wave colors, and he'll probably have a different deco on the Hawaiian shirt.
You know what? I wonder if it's going to be like a Night Force or a Tiger Force Chuckles or something like that.
I could see that happening.
I mean, there is a Night Force one, and he might. I wonder if he'd have any kind of blue to make sense to have the tape deck match that. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be interesting, but I definitely want this version. And it's one of, like, Hasbro's revealed a lot of SDCC and Walmart Collector Con stuff, but so far as the SDCC stuff goes, I'm only really interested in Chuckles and that Marvel Legends Deadpool pack. Maybe the Transformers thing will be something really interesting, but typically I tend to look at Transformers SDCC exclusives and go, that's neat. I don't think I need it.
I can't remember what the exclusive was last year.
I think it was the Orion packs and Alpha Trion pack. I want to say that's what that was.
You are correct on that.
Okay.
Trying to pull up some pictures of those. Yeah, the Alley Viper. Man, just honestly, like, I don't even know. You know, every single, like, figure they announced lately, just been like dinger.
I mean, we talked about in last month's episode of, like, I don't feel like I need a Crimson version of every character, but the thing is, this isn't like overtly Crimson. It's using the the Pursuit of Cobra Alley Viper deco. And so it doesn't look just like, oh, it's just the Alley Viper in bright red. It looks like a unique, more tactical, more stealthy deco that
Yeah.
makes me like a figure that initially I passed on. Like I understand why Alley Vipers look the way they do, and I don't knock anybody for being into them. I just didn't like that color scheme, so I never got the original Alley Viper. But these, I'm looking at them, I'm like, yo, I could go for a couple of those actually. And same thing with the mole rats. I feel like they did a really good job of taking the concept of the 30th anniversary zombie viper and recontextualizing it into something that works much better within the overall world of GI Joe, where like these are just kind of worker grunts who were messing around with something that was way more dangerous than they realized, and now they've become a problem.
And I think one of the interesting things about the mole rat there, to me, it feels a lot like the 30th Techno Viper with all the like interesting accessories he comes with, because he's got like different attachments for his like gun. It seems to be like some sort of jackhammer, a drill, an actual like gun piece, or some sort of bolt thing. Just every part of it looks interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these pictures really make it look like, and I think I saw it confirmed somewhere. I think the alt head glows in the dark.
Oh, I haven't seen any indication of that anywhere, but like I would be super into that as well.
If you look at some of the pictures, there's like a glow put onto it, but
A little bit, yeah.
I don't know. I'm hopeful,
Mhm.
hopeful.
Yeah, I didn't see it initially too, but like now that I've just Googled a picture of it, I definitely do get the 30th Techno Viper vibe you were talking about, and it honestly makes me kind of wish this comes with the traffic cone that figure did as well.
Oh yeah, I wish. I
Uh,
think we're gonna get a Techno Viper anyways, though.
yeah, ooh,
But
Techno
for
Viper.
Shooter,
Oh yeah,
um,
Shooter. I've seen some people complain about her, saying she looks like a Fortnite character, and like I can
no,
see that, but I don't have a problem with it. I think she looks pretty cool. I have no familiarity with the character at all. Like it had to be pointed out to me of like she's technically been there since issue 1, because there's a character when they're looking at the dossier of all the Joes in Real American Hero #1. There's a character whose face is covered, but you can see the name is Shooter. And that was meant to be like a cheeky reference to Jim Shooter. And then I think she ended up being an actual character in IDW, is what I think somebody said, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I like the look of this figure, honestly. Like, I don't think I'm gonna pose her with that sniper rifle a whole lot because it is friggin' huge. But I like the alternate hair pieces. I like the gas mask head. I like that it's another female in the line. Like she just looks like a solid little figure to fill out your GI Joe ranks a little bit more.
that that's a real sniper.
There is a
Um,
sniper rifle that huge.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
that is an accurate size. It's based off of like a Barrett,
Okay.
um, which it, and I saw somebody say this in one of the Facebook groups, and I was like looking it up, and it's totally true. Um, the guy was saying that that's the gun they used for the RoboCop sniper, and it actually is. That's the skeleton for the RoboCop sniper because they put like a couple extra like bits on it.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at pictures of this gun now. Holy shit.
So that's an accurate size. Um, I love this. I really do. Like it reminds me a lot of um the Sigma 6 figures. It's got that kind of style to it. The
Mm.
As far as like the Fortnite comparison, I really don't see that because even their more tactical Hasbro figures still had like just different enough like sheens or aesthetics to like separate it. This has like a much more like realistic like matte finish to things, and just the face alone makes it look something different. And the details, the sharper details on like the little calm thing on the vest there.
Yeah.
I think it's a win.
Uh, do we know what ethnicity she's supposed to be?
Oh,
Because, like, I'm looking at her and I'm like, she looks African American, but I could also see her being Indian. just because of like the skin tone is darker, but it's not like as overtly dark as they tend to go with toys of African American characters. I'm gonna wiki this real quick because I'm just interested of like I don't know of any other um non-white women in GI Joe besides Jinx. As far as like Joe team members, I'm sure there's Cobra members, but that just popped into my head, and now I want to know.
Yeah, Sniper's great.
I am not immediately seeing it, so I will just go ahead and say let's move on, and somebody can tell me in the comments if they want to. Do you have anything else to say about these figures?
No, I mean I'm gonna buy them. Easy.
Yeah, definitely. I want two Crimson Alley Vipers, 2 to 4 mole rats, and I think I only need one shooter. Like
We'll see.
obviously, go ahead.
Oh, the fact that I'm getting these and that I already have the Crimson Bats, I'm gonna have to get that San Diego Comic Con Baroness and the brothers 3-pack.
The Crimson Trio. That's going to be the PulseCon exclusive.
Either way, I'm gonna have to do it because I have that Cobra Commander that's in the Crimson colors already. And
So
whenever
you're
I
just all in on Crimson now,
well, I mean, I guess I already was. I just buy the ones I have been interested in, and it's led me there. But whenever I get his tank, it's going to have a regular Cobra Commander. So
yeah.
there we go.
All right. Oh, speaking of which, before we move out of news, hey, the Dragonfly is fully backed now with all the stretch goals unlocked as of just a couple hours ago. Crazy Legs looks neat. I don't particularly care about that character, but it looks like it'll make for a neat figure. So,
Wait,
hooray for everybody who backed it.
really? It's
Yeah, it just hit the stretch goal for Crazy Legs like an hour ago.
what the fuck? Hang on, let me get in there.
I could have sworn it did. It's 17,000 for him, right?
No, 19.
Oh, well then I apologize. It hit 17,000 a couple hours ago, and I thought that was the number it needed. Okay, it's currently at 17,067 backers, but there's also 2 days left in the campaign as of this recording, so I'm almost certain Crazy Legs will get unlocked.
Oh no, I mean like the last couple of days. One of the other things they do is I don't think this accounts for some of the like online pre-orders and stuff like that. You know, the other
Yeah.
website pre-orders and stuff.
But that's the other thing is Pulse also just opened up to the rest of the EU, so they're probably getting a ton of orders from people there over the last couple days.
Yep. No, I mean it'll hit. There's no way it won't.
Yeah.
Literally.
Looks good. I'm happy for everyone back in it. But let's go ahead and move into this month's comic discussion. We're going to be talking about G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, #2 from August of 1982. Scripted by Larry Hama, penciled by Don Perlin, inked by Jack Abel, lettered by Jim Novak, colored by Bob Sharon, and edited by Tom DeFalco. This issue is a really fun, just kind of mission in a bottle issue of not everybody, but like a select group of Joes getting told, hey, there's something weird happening in the Arctic, go look into it. And then shenanigans ensue, basically, with, interestingly enough, no involvement from Cobra at all. They're dealing with a comic original character here. And I like this issue a whole lot too. I think culturally there's some things in it that have not aged well, but story-wise it's still very enjoyable. What did you think of it, Snowcone?
I very much enjoyed it. I still liked the little move that dude made. Essentially like showing off, cutting straight to the end of it, but showing off how adept and able the Joe team is, just because they were 4 miles away versus the Russians like 1.
Mm-hmm.
I love shit like that. I don't know. It's definitely enjoyable. It's really getting me to even further appreciate all these original characters that I already like loved anyways. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I do really like how everyone's written here. Like you said, there's no moments of panic or of like, oh shit, what are we gonna do now? The GI Joe team is just on it this whole issue. Like they know what to do. They always have an idea for how to get out of a situation or how to counter what Quinn is doing. And they just come off as incredibly competent operatives, which is what GI Joe is supposed to be. They're supposed to be the best of the best of the best, um, and it's very interesting to read. You'd think something like that might get boring or dull, or you can't relate to those characters, but it's just impressive to see what they are constantly coming up with throughout the mission, in my opinion.
Yep.
Um,
Well,
however, oh, did you have something to add?
nope.
Okay. I will say, like, I enjoy the villains of this issue. Like, I think Quinn is an interesting character. The fact that he's a contract killer hired by the Russian government in the 80s and he's constantly referred to with the E word, ooh, that was a little yikes for me. That just feels incredibly dated in a almost gross way. But him as a character with constantly being one step ahead of the Joes and the whole like taking the firing pins out of their guns thing, it's really neat because like he's clearly in tune with the culture he comes from of the indigenous Alaskan people, but he's not played up as like this guy's an idiot or he's a Superman because he's in tune with that. He's just a little bit smarter because this is his home turf.
I don't know about Alaskan.
They said they're in Alaska, and
Oh, really?
the way yeah the way they play it is like he's a local contract killer that the Russians hired to take care of this thing for them.
Hmm.
Let me because they show his dossier at one point. Let me yeah. So it says. It doesn't say anything specifically about his ethnicity on his dossier, but it does say his I'm guessing that's place of birth and his date of birth are unknown. So like maybe that's meant to be up to interpretation, but I took the way they played his character as like this is a native Alaskan. Because he's also talking about like his necklace with all those like rodent skulls and like praying to certain spirits and this, that, and the other thing. Which that honestly and this is speaking as a modern white person, that never came off as like you don't understand you're speaking out of turn for how this culture operates, but it was just the fact that they're almost always referring to him as the E word that I didn't personally care for. But like I said, other than that, I enjoy the character, and I think he does come back later in the series because he's a fan favorite character that's actually gotten some figures in the modern era. There's a comic free pack with him during like the modern O-ring era, and there is a 20th anniversary figure of him, I believe. And there's a reaction that just came out last year.
Yeah. Man, I'm not so sure about the whole Alaskan thing. I mean, it'd probably just be from like the actual like various polls, maybe.
Yeah, I suppose that's entirely possible. I might be reading just a bit too into it. But what else did I want to talk about with this issue? Oh yeah, all the little introductions they give to the members of the mission. And I like again that it's not like, okay, here's the whole team again. Here's that whole original 13 figures again. It's no, maybe a kid only has these specific figures, or maybe these are Larry's favorites, or these are just the ones you want to play with today. So let's pick out the guys who are most well equipped for this mission. So you get like a little again, Stalker's the first one you see, and you get a little more character on him, and that he's into doing nature photography. You see Breaker messing around with a advanced for the time computer at a university. Scarlet's at a martial arts tournament. And Snake Eyes is in a sensory deprivation tank, and you don't see his face, but this is the first time they mention that he has a fucked up face. And like this is very early Hama laying the seeds for what Snake Eyes would become. And I really digged seeing that because, like, I've always been one of those people who's like, I wasn't around for that time, so I never really got the whole, like, well, Snake Eyes had no personality at the start, so you could imprint your own onto him. I never got the appeal of that, but, like, second issue being like, oh, Snake Eyes has a fucked up face, and that's why he always wears the mask, and he spends all his spare time in a sensory deprivation tank. As a kid, and even as an adult, I'm like, I want to know what's up with this guy. Let's get some more focus on this dude, because that is weird but interesting. How do you feel about all those character introductions?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was fun to see a stalker seemingly lining up a shot that we would assume that he's about to, like,
He's hunting.
yeah, hunting. But he's like taking a photo of it. I loved, like, just like almost in like a single panel, just about like you still just get that extra like splash of character that kind of like makes you understand who this guy is and how this guy would react to the stuff, even if
Mm-hmm.
he's not necessarily talking in the panels you're seeing him.
Yeah. Um, it's a really solid, succinct story with a lot of characterization in it, and it's very impressive for the time. Um, and yeah, I'm really enjoying this book so far. The art is about the same as last issue. I don't have too much new to say about it. There's a couple panels where, like, you see characters from afar and they all just have these blank red coloring on them to illustrate their silhouette, and I was like, maybe that should be a darker color. But other than that, I didn't really have any issues with it. And on the whole, I just really enjoyed this issue. Anything else we need to talk about, Snowcone?
No, I think that about covers it.
Okay, well then let's go ahead and move on to some new acquisitions, because there's no G.I. Joe or Transformers media out as of this recording. So whenever we have a month like this, we're just going to talk about some of the figures we most recently picked up. So uh, within the last month, what is a Transformer and or a G.I. Joe you picked up that you'd like to talk about for a few minutes, Snowcone?
Well, I got let's see, I just got the Axle Grease, Inferno, the Ant Inferno, Bazooka, Torpedo, and what's that guy's name? Is it Copperhead?
Yeah,
The yeah.
the classifieds
All,
and the legacy figures, some of the most recent releases.
hmm all those I got most recently. I don't think there was anything else earlier this month. Trying to think if there might have been. Not so sure though. I don't think I got any GI Joes earlier on. No, I did not. Nor Transformers. But either way, the stuff that I did get, I've been really enjoying. I've also been rearranging my. Well, I kind of like deleted two shelves from my room, moved all the stuff into my new area, and put all of the newest GI Joes that I've had, and they're like filling up two more shelves, so it's crazy. But I don't know. Bazooka's great.
You had an issue with him, didn't you? Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that shit was I'm thinking maybe like it kind of looked like the mushroom peg originally just got like blown out or something like that. It looked like it was a bit too big.
Yeah, just for listener context, you posted photos in Boingo Writers Discord server that your bicep joint, I think it looked like on the bazooka, had just come out of the socket, right?
Yeah. Well, whenever I picked up the box, I heard something rattling around in it already.
Okay,
And
so it was broken out of the box, essentially.
yeah. Um, and it was just a case of like this mushroom peg was just insanely massive. And even with both pieces setting in like boiling water for like 10, 15 minutes, I still had to like rotate it around there with a, a wild amount of force. I'm talking like a, a stupid amount of force. Like any other figure that I've gotten in the last couple of years that has had something that's popped off of it, I have had no problem popping it back on. This thing was insane, even like that. And even with the flesh bicep part, more rubbery, it was still kind of biting at the joint. I don't think it'll be an issue now. It's like definitely on there, but like, man, that was rough.
Mm.
The figure, however, amazing, just perfect. I love it. I love the rocket launcher and how it works and how it has a realistic like rotate out slide on the back. You could actually load the rockets in there. I don't know, like these figures have really evolved to like get just a splash of extra detail that like really makes it all worth it, you know, because like they had to like rearrange the budget just a wee bit to get that extra print on like the two rockets and um other stuff like that, man. I don't know, it's fantastic. Torpedo, everything works just perfectly. But that is one of the characters who's gonna end up suffering a little bit because it's a very smooth body with very tight lines. So overspray and bleed is probably gonna happen anyways.
Mm.
It's not very prevalent, but like, yeah, it's kind of there sometimes. You really can't tell though, and especially if you display this guy with like a darker lit area with like some blue in the background, like you can't even see. So either way, I don't know. And Copperhead's just like fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
I might skip Copperhead just because he doesn't seem like he has a lot going on. He just kind of seems like Crocmaster without the croc to me. But he doesn't look bad, you know?
well, see, the thing is, I think Crocmaster is the same body that like Bazooka and Roadblock have.
Mm.
And this guy is not that body. He's actually smaller.
Oh,
I think what they might do is this might be like, well, that wouldn't even make sense. I don't know. It is a little bit smaller.
that's cool that they gave him a unique body, though. Or at least a seemingly unique body. It might be cobbled together from other parts, but
Well, yeah, because people were saying that the mole rat was a reuse of Snow Job, but then a further inspection showed that it actually wasn't.
huh.
So I don't know, but
And that's been like a consistent thing with this line for the last couple of years. Like I can remember back when Spirit got revealed, and everybody was like, "Oh, that's just Duke's body and new colors with some new overlays and a new head." And then you get it in hand, and it's like it's very similar to Duke, but all the like wrinkles and little lines of the cloth are a completely different sculpt. So like it's crazy how much money they're putting into this line. How are
and
those?
they're getting it back though.
I'm sorry.
They're getting it back though. They
Oh
are
yeah.
getting like holy hell. What were you
Um,
gonna
I was just gonna ask, how are those Transformers doing for you? Because I remember you were pretty excited about them when they arrived.
say? Inferno and Axle Grease.
Yeah.
They're great. I love the colors to be able to play. I mean, I'm obsessed with those Junkions at this point. I can't wait to get the final pieces to make Trash Master. Just playing around with them at all, like man, it's like it's really scratching that like um modular toy design that I love, and like being able to mix and match and stuff like that. Crash Bar is still probably the takeaway for me so far. Um, Something about that design just makes it so easy to just like put extra arms and legs and like cool stuff on them. But Inferno is just like 10 out of 10, fantastic. The gun is really cool, but like the way he transforms, the articulation that he maintains, and like the overall like stature of both the ant and the robot mode are fantastic, I think.
Yeah. I think Axle Grease is really cool just from like a toy design standpoint that it's like the first female Junkion toy. It's inverted colors from normal Junkion, which accidentally those are the colors of the trans flag, and it's a mold that was originally a male character. Like that is all really fun to me. I've never really been into the eyes or play pattern like you are, but I definitely have an appreciation for what other people can do with it. Um, and Inferno, like I'm partial to Fire Truck Inferno, but I'm really glad after how upset everybody was about Kingdom Fire Truck Inferno that all those people finally got their Fire Ant Inferno.
And man, they really went for it too, because the head, like the two separate head sculpts, since he's got the upper and lower, he's got like articulated jaw.
Mm.
And he could look up and down as much as he wants, and he has light piping. Like, come on. Um, Only a minor complaint I could have about it is like the head does kind of like sometimes not perfectly want to sit together. There'll be like the teensiest little gap there, but like honestly, if you turn it even like 1%, like it's kind of not noticeable. But I don't know. If I wanted to highlight one thing that I really do love, way more than you may realize, the interesting new cardboard paper packaging for the GI Joes.
Oh yeah, you
Uh,
were talking about that, where they've got like, because I've seen people open figures and show this before. They've got like this sort of segmented cardboard mesh around them now.
yeah, because it's like it's thin as paper. It's kind of like maybe the same thickness as construction paper, um, but it's a flat sheet with cuts in it, and as you pull it, it kind of like bends outward and has like more of a cushion to it. But it's very resilient and it holds its form. It also is literally like I can't even like I have to think this is on purpose because of how good it is. Because if it's not on purpose, it's the coolest shit I've ever seen. Because it's like it's to scale, but it looks exactly like camo netting, like specifically desert camo netting. Um, and even like it has the same exact effect if you put light from overhead, because it's literally the same thing. So it just adds. It's just something fun, like take pictures of, put display of. It's like it's really like pretty much to scale,
It was
and it would be.
perfect fodder for people who are in the figure photography or diorama construction.
Yeah, and all you'd need is some matte spray paint and maybe some black spray paint or some red spray paint just to like throw up some interesting shit and make it a little bit different color for a different setting. Grab some white spray paint, there you go, Arctic camo netting, you know,
Yeah, that's really
bright
cool.
green, like easily. And you could easily make it look like a ghillie hide as well. Because you could put like grass and stuff like that in there and it would just look again completely to scale and realistic. So
Hasbro's out here trying to put Gridiron out of a job.
that right there, being able to use it like that is like far more of a interesting and useful um, economic packaging thing than their stupid like window cuts and stuff like that. Like I think
Like
the way
tissue
that the GI Joe
paper.
team is doing it is perfect. Yeah.
All right. Well, should I talk about some pickups now?
No.
Oh, okay. I guess we'll
Do it
just
anyway.
So this was a few weeks ago. I opened a, trio of core class figures. Because I tend to I tend to buy stuff and then just leave it sitting around in a to open pile for way too long. So after like having them for like a week or two, I opened a trio of core class figures. Studio Series, Rise of the Beasts RC, and then 86 Daniel in exosuits, and Legacy Bomb Burst. RC, I definitely see why other people like her, and I don't dislike her, but I do not think she's as good as she's being hyped up to be. Like there's just a little too much kibble on her that makes her really finicky for her size. I was able to get her into a few good poses, and like the transformation and alt mode are all right, but I wasn't as wowed by her as I was expecting to be after like watching Vangelis's video on.
Hmm.
Daniel, it's literally just a scaled down version of the masterpiece one that came with that original Bumblebee. And I thought that toy was a perfectly fine toy of the exosuit, so I have no real qualms with it. However, I did only buy him for his effects parts because his effects parts are like a perfect muzzle flare for any generation's Transformer gun. And I didn't have a lot of Transformers blast effects, and still don't have a lot because I neglected to get a lot of that stuff during the War for Cybertron trilogy. But yeah, those served their purpose perfectly fine. And Bomb Burst, I actually liked him the most out of any of them because like I know there's some people who aren't a big fan of the fusing the inner robot aesthetic with the shell aesthetic for modern toys of the Pretenders. I don't mind. I have no real attachment to the Pretenders. I think it's a cool gimmick. I don't really think it needs to come back in its original form. Uh, but Bombburst, I dug the idea of just this little core class humanoid guy with a bat face as like a minion. Like he gave me a similar vibe to like Imp from the original She-Ra cartoon. Of just like, just imagine this guy just chilling out on Megatron's shoulder, being like, "Yeah, we should shoot them. We should shoot these fucking idiots. They're stupid." Uh, and as that, he works pretty well. He has a lot of articulation for his size. His guns slash axes are really fun, and the transformation is almost insultingly simple, but it results in a pretty fun little jet mode. So I enjoyed all those quite a bit. And then over the 4th of July, because I've made this like a tradition the last 3 years for the 4th of July, is after everything's settled down, after we've done fireworks and all that, I go up to my room and I watch a G.I. Joe thing and a Captain America movie, and I open a bunch of classified figures, or if I don't have any to open, I just mess around with ones I have. So I finally opened Heavy Artillery Roadblock, my 2 Crimson Guards, and the Amazon exclusive Blue Ninjas. Roadblock is definitely my favorite of the bunch. He is definitely the best Roadblock we've gotten in the line so far. I wish he came with like a knife of some sort, but other than that, he's really good. Like that mold has just been phenomenal in every incarnation, and this very classic looking uh, version of it works really well. The only problem I have with it is whenever I like do anything with the torso joints, the secondary gets really out of whack, and I have to kind of like futz it down into a realistic looking position. Um, but the pistol is a really good sculpt. Looks great in his hands. Was able to get some decent poses with it, and the minigun is fantastic. I did not realize that minigun sculpt had ports on the end of it for the blast effects that have been coming with all the troop builder packs. So I had a moment while I was messing around with him that I discovered that, and I was like, oh shit, it's on now. Uh, but the only slight qualm I have with him is I wish one of his wrists had an up and down hinge on it so that you could get a bit more posability with the minigun. Because I tried to do a pose where he was like resting it on his shoulder and his arm just couldn't bend that far. And I felt like if there was an up and down hinge on the wrist, it would be able to. But other than that, he's great. Completes Team Duke for me. Um, the Crimson Guards, I I'm not like let down by them, but they're not as good as I was expecting them to be. It's still a solid sculpt. All the accessories are really neat, but something about the way their lower legs work, like the whole boot area, doesn't pose too well. And it makes them kind of hard to stand a lot of the time. So I've not been using them for figure photography as much as I thought I was going to. And I've just seen now, you've just put a photo of, I'm guessing, one of your shelves in the chat. You were able to get him in that pose. It's a little different than what I was trying to do, but I can see how you made that work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like kind of bending forward and he's more like got the whole thing slung over his back. Okay. Yeah.
That'd be the only way to like realistically hold it, and if he's strong enough, I think he would be.
Yeah, fair enough. I can definitely see that. And I mean that character is also just super fun for figure photography because Roadblock had his whole talking in rhyme thing in the cartoon. He's a chef, and I recently got a bunch of accessory packs of 1/12 scale food, so I've been having fun with that. Um, the Blue Ninjas 2 pack. There's not really a lot unique to say about them because it's literally the Red Ninja body, which is the original Snake Eyes body with a new overlay, and the Kiko body in blue with a bunch of reused accessories and a couple of new heads. I love that Snake Eyes body. I love it as the Red Ninja, as the Blue Ninja. It works great. My first time messing around with the Akiko body, I like it. Not as much as I thought I was going to. I do like it. I was a bit let down by the fact that the ball joint for the head is a smaller size than the ones for the male ninjas. Because I was thinking like, oh, I can use both heads. I'll keep the stock head on the female blue ninja, and I'll put the kitsune head on one of my male red ninjas. And that's just not going to be possible unless I finally break down and buy a Dremel. Um, but that's probably just on me for not looking into the Akiko body before buying this. But overall, decent toys add to my horde of classified series ninjas that is growing ever so slowly. Oh man, we didn't have time to talk about it during the news, but I am so stoked about Nunchuck. And yeah, overall, decent month for new toys. I think. You have any questions or comments about any of that stuff I just ran through?
Nope, that'll be about it for me, I think.
All right. Well, that does bring us to the end of this installment of Saturday Morning Panels. But before we go, Snowcone, why don't you tell the good people where they can find you out there on the internet?
Go ahead and look me up on Instagram. It's going to be never_robot and Snowcone83 and other random places of the world.
All right. And I am the Vacuuminator. I make YouTube videos. They're things I'm usually pretty proud of. I actually just recently did a G.I. Joe video on my channel, kind of like a general franchise retrospective to the uninitiated, saying like, hey, this is why G.I. Joe is cool and you should be into it, as the first installment of my ongoing July-long Freedom Month event. So if you want to check that out, you can go to youtube.com/@thevacuuminator. I'm also on TikTok posting clips of my older videos at @the_vacuuminator. I have an Instagram that is that same username where I post daily toy photography. I have a Twitter and a Tumblr where I aggregate all my content. Twitter is @thevacuuminator. Tumblr is thevacuuminator.tumblr.com. And yeah, that's pretty much all the places you can find me as of this recording. While Snowcone coughs himself to death over there, we're going to go ahead and bid you farewell for the month of July 2023. We'll see you back here next month when we're going to be discussing more news, probably the next batch of Earthspark episodes, because that's supposed to drop at the end of the month, and Real American Hero number 3 from September of 1982. But until next time, until all are one, no one is half the battle.